Welcome back to my channel, the series of learning how to R from nothing. Today I'm going to show you how to use one of the most critical tools in website development, programming, or even in our scientific research endeavor, in which we will need to publish something that involves code. Then you definitely need version control. The ability to use version control will be critical, and we will have to learn it one way or another, and sooner or later. So the reason why I make this video is not to give you a full experience and knowledge of how Git and how to use Git and GitHub, but really to give you the most essential steps so that you can get started with Git, and then from there you can learn a more advanced feature of Git and GitHub. Okay, so let's get started. So let's assume that you have been working on a project. Okay, you have some codes, you have some scripts, and you put them in a folder, and you now heard of version control, which you definitely need to do. So now you want to enable version control that can track the changes of this particular script and also allow other people to collaborate on your script. Okay, so there are many ways to do it, but one of the ways I found easiest is that you use Git and GitHub through an IDE. If you don't know what an IDE is, check out my first video. I talked briefly about IDE, but for today's tutorial, I will use an IDE called Pycharm. Pycharm is free and is allow you to interact with both R and Python as well as other programming language. It's a very popular and very good tool, so that's why I'm going to use it. So the three things that you need to have to start using version control through Git and GitHub is obviously the first thing is that you need to have a Git account. So if you don't have yet a Git account, I would encourage you to go online and just Google GitHub. Okay, and then you just create an account there. So why is this so my internet is so slow? Let's open another browser. I open so many things, so that's probably why. So let me open another window here. Yep, so just Google GitHub here. All right. Okay, so why is it not loading? Let's restart the Wi-Fi. JC. All right. Let's hope this works. Should work. Yep, there you go. So once you have a GitHub account, you have the folder of your project that you want to enable version control, and you download and install Pycharm. Then now you're ready to do GitHub and Git. So the first thing that you're gonna do is open Pycharm. In Pycharm, what you need to do is create a new project, okay? And let's say that most of your script is in R. So you're gonna create an R project. Then you need to browse the location to the folder that you contain the script that you want to enable version control. In my case, that folder is called mock. Okay, so I open that directory. Then you can specify the version of R that you want to use. In my case, I will use R 4.2.1. Then create. Then Pycharm will ask you that they recognize that the directory that you just browsed to, which is our mock folder here, it already has some file in it, which is our script. So you just want to confirm that you are sure that you want to create a new project in this particular folder. Click yes. Create from existing sources. So now once this open, this is your project, and this will ask you, do you want to add the following file, which is the file that is automatically detected in your folder that you specify you want to create a new project in. So click add. Okay, so now it will create a project. Okay, and you see that this script here is actually orange or blue or red, whatever. So the way that you can kind of get rid of red if you want to is you right click on that file, then git and add. Okay, so now it will turn green, which means that it's already added to your Git. All right. So now let's just show you what this script is about. So it's just basically a very simple command to print something. So if you run that, then it just prints something. Okay. All right. So now let's say now you want to enable Git version control on this particular folder. The way to do it is that you go all the way top at the Pycharm kind of toolbar and you select Git. If you don't see this option, then you should see something called VCS up here instead of Git. Click on that and then select Git as your choice of version control software that you want to use. And then once that you've done that, then you now should see Git option here. So once you see that option here, click on commit. The reason why I'm not going to use a keyboard shortcut is I want to show you the exact step that you're going to need to do, because sometimes different laptop, different environment, they have modified the default keyboard shortcut, so it's not useful if I show you my shortcut, which might not be the same as your keyboard shortcut. Anyway, so then the commit will appear, and this will show you the different changes that you have made so far to the script and the files of your project. Then you can select the changes that you want to commit. And sorry, I forgot to mention what commit is. So basically the Git workflow does go like this. So you have some changes in your local machine. You want to bring the changes from your local machine onto the remote location, which will be your GitHub repository. GitHub is a place where you deposit your codes, your changes, and allow other people to access it and make changes to that as well. So the whole workflow will go like this. You have some changes, you commit that changes to be pushed through into the remote control, then you have to push those committed changes, and now they will be on the a virtual cloud remote repository. Okay, so once you select all the changes that you like, okay, what you need to do now is put a commit message. So make it descriptive, because it will be useful for you to go back to see what change particular commit that you did. Okay, so describe that very well and concisely. So let's call it initial commit. Okay, that's fine. That's good enough for now. Then click commit. All right, so then you see down here in the Git kind of tab, you can click on it, and then you click on log, and you see that it shows you the initial commit here a moment ago. Okay, and these are the changes. Let me click exit this guy here. Okay, and now once that is committed, then what you need to do is now you need to push these committed changes to your remote repository. Okay, so push, and here, since I already defined which remote repository that I will be using to deposit the changes, they're not going to ask me again. But in your case, if you have not used GitHub before, and it probably say something instead of origin, it will say something like main and then a forward arrow, and then it say remote. Now you need to click on remote, and then it will say something like define remote. Okay, so you define remote. Now so now is where your GitHub account come into place. So browse to your GitHub, log into your GitHub account, and then what you need to do is you need to go to your repository. And here it should be empty if you just create one. So now you're gonna create a new repository where the mock project, your project will live, okay, online. So click on new, then you give a repository a name. In this case, let's call it mock project, okay, mock, whatever. So then you can give a description, you can make it private, so only you will have access, or public if you want everyone to have access to it. And then click on create repository. Okay, so once that's done, you need to copy this particular URL here. In this case, I will use HTTPS. There's other things that you can use SSH as well, but today I just want to give you the very essential ways that you can just get started, and later on you can, play around with it and learn more about Git and GitHub. Okay, so copy that URL. That will be the link to your remote repository that you will use to have the committed changes deposit into. All right, so you can even call this repository, mock in your Pycharm. Okay, and then copy and paste that URL that you just copied from your GitHub account, then click OK. So now you should be able to, select, you call it from main, you're gonna push the changes down here into your mock repository, okay? And you will push it to the main branch of the mock repository. Now, the idea of branching is going to be very important for Git and GitHub, but I don't have time to go into detail about it. But the basic idea is that you have your main branch, your master branch, which is should be the most stable and functional branch. And then if you have, let's say you have a collaborator who want to improve the feature of the app that you're developing, then they can create their own branch and working on the same code but on a separate branch, not the master branch. Then once he's finished, then he will push his changes, and then later on he can do something called merge. So he will merge his own branch, okay, into the master branch, and now then the master branch now will have the changes that he worked on, and while he work and making edits on his own branch, nothing will be affected on the master branch. So that's the idea of branching, okay, in a nutshell. All right, so now we're ready to commit. We're ready to push these changes into our mock repository in the main branch. All right, so now you could just need to click push, and then it will do its things, and then it will say pushed main to new branch mock main finished. Okay, so that's how you create a project, then commit the changes, then you push your changes into your newly created repository in your GitHub account. So in order to check that, you go back to your GitHub URL, then refresh it, and now you should see that the folder, okay, which has your script, now is deposited online. So that's in a nutshell how you start using Git and GitHub. Of course, there's many other things, pull and push and merge and all of that. All those things is going to be very helpful, and you definitely should check it out. But I hope that this short video helped you to at least get the idea of what Git and GitHub are and how to get started, so then you can explore a more advanced feature. All right, well, hope you like the video. Subscribe and give a like, and so that you can get more tips in the future about how to do coding the right way. See ya.